A major donation from Jacksonville philanthropist Dolores Barweaver promises to be a game changer for organizations around the First Coast. Here to talk about the landmark donation and what it means, I'm joined by Isaiah Oliver, president of the Community Foundation for Northeast Florida. Hey, Isaiah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Suzanne Mailloux, chief of the Jacksonville branch of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning. Thank you.
And Community Foundation Vice President of Programs, Amy Crane. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Ann.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, Isaiah, tell us about this $61 million gift from Dolores Weaver, how it came about and its significance.
Well, again, Isaiah Oliver. I often say I lead an organization that's focused on engaging people in the world of philanthropy. This idea of time and talent and treasure and testimony and ties to make communities better places to live in and work in and contribute to. And today, we're talking about not just the financial capital. In philanthropy, we often talk about the financial resources. We're talking about the social, moral, intellectual, and then I would say the reputational capital that donors bring to the table. And so, yes, Ms. Dolores Weaver offered a $61 million gift to support making community a better place. But she's an exceptional leader because she offers all of those capitals to make community better. I think back in 2012, right around the time that she and Wayne sold the Jaguars, they made a significant $50 million gift. At that time, that was the largest gift to the Community Foundation. And just late summer, they made a $61 million gift that is actually our largest gift of all time at the Community Foundation. So we're excited about the gift, but also excited about the time and talent and testimony that she leverages to make community a better place alongside those significant gifts.
And so remind us, the Community Foundation is like a donor-advised fund, which means that the donor gets to control, to some extent, where those charitable donations are made. They kind of pick their priorities, and then that money goes to those organizations.
So the Community Foundation is a collection of funds. We're a collection of about 700 unique funds, total assets about $650 million. And so we have tons of donors who give significant amounts of money. But donor advised funds are very unique tools that allow donors to be engaged in the grant making process. They make a gift up front, they get the tax deduction up front, and then they make their giving over a period of time.
Right. And so, Suzanne, your organization is one of the recipients. And it's my understanding that Dolores Barweaver sort of focused her giving in this case on organizations that have proven track records, that have shown that they've been able to use funds effectively in the past, including money that she's provided. So I would say that that's a pretty nice recognition in terms of, the work that NAMI does in Jacksonville. What is this money going to be used for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're honored to have Mrs. Weaver trust in our organization to fund our work year after year. We have been fully volunteer run, and her trust in us has moved us from a grassroots organization to an organization that increased our visibility. So people in our community know that we are here for our free mental health support programs that we provide. The mission of NAMI Jacksonville is to support and improve the quality of life for individuals and family members, individuals who live with mental illness and family members who are caring for their loved ones. And the heart of our work is engaging volunteers and to provide peer-to-peer support to these individuals and to families separately. And Mrs. Weaver has really been one of our first strategic funders. And while she is strategic in her funding, she has really trusted us that we have our finger on the pulse of mental health in our community and given us the opportunity to use that funding in the places where we feel that it will serve our community the most.
Mm-hmm. And Amy, talk about some of that strategic funding from Ms. Weaver. She seems to have focused on, women's issues to a large extent, health, mental health. Talk about how she has chosen to invest. I know that you can't tell us all of the places that she's invested in for privacy reasons.
Well, yes, and we feel like that good news is the good news of the organizations that she is working with at this time. And so while we're really excited about announcing the gift, and in fact, I'd like to just tell everyone that she calls it her labor of love because it really is a gift to Northeast Florida. And the gift extends beyond Northeast Florida to regional organizations and international organizations and national organizations. So using Suzanne's word, it has been really strategic. She is working with organizations that she has a track record with, and she's also looking into sectors that she really feels strongly about. So you mentioned a few, and I'll say, too, that the domestic violence shelters, for example, she funded all of them regionally with this gift. She's looked deep into the environment here in Jacksonville, and she's made gifts to organizations like the Riverkeeper, the Jacksonville Arboretum and Gardens, to the Riverkeeper. And so this at North Florida Land Trust, that's who I was just thinking about. And so again, this broad base of work, it's even extended into arts and culture, Anne, and that's why at the Community Foundation we feel, she really sees the nonprofits as her hands in doing this work. And then we are there to help her to be able to, again, make those investments in the community.
And Isaiah, some of this money is, it's going to help organizations, provide their services, but a aim of it is to make sure that they have some financial security and stability years and years into the future.
Yes, and so she told us that coming to do the work at the Community Foundation and partnering with the Community Foundation was going to allow her to do more. And we are sure that that's going to happen. Won a $61 million gift to her donor advice fund, which she'll give out over time. She's also done a lot of work to make sure that she's building the capacity of nonprofits, not only today, but moving forward. And so we're excited about doing this work in partnership with her. And we'll continue to show, because our Community Foundation leaders, if you will, the staff of the Community Foundation have a really good understanding of the pulse of community, the nonprofit community, and the other donors that might partner with Dolores in doing some of this incredible work.
And does a gift like that inspire others to give? Is it kind of a, I don't know, like an effect on other large givers and donors that might consider making
Again, we're very proud to partner with Dolores and her philanthropy because she is a pace-setting philanthropist in Northeast Florida. We would say that she's almost an exemplar in lots of ways. Again, significant amount of gifts, but also leveraging all of the other capitals that she brings to the table. She's inside. She's learning alongside us. She's helping us with the grant-making process. We're managing the back office. We're making sure that we're managing the relationships and the grants going out. But she is essentially part of the grant-making process. And the incredible work that she's doing right now is, again, a model for how philanthropy should happen in this town.
And what sets her apart, the way that her style, her approach from perhaps other philanthropic, individuals?
I would actually throw that to Amy.
I think that it's extraordinary that Mrs. Weaver is such a hard worker, and we'll hear from her, every day over the weekend. This is her work and this is her passion. I would say too that Mrs. Weaver's capacity to be able to understand Northeast Florida is, without par, because we kind of joke as a team that we use a lot of spreadsheets and we might be examining things carefully, and Mrs. Weaver just recalls all of the gifts and all of the work and all of the leaders like Suzanne and others, and she's really invested herself 100%, and it's extraordinary.
And the money that she has is partly, her husband and her owned the Jaguars, but they were self-made in their wealth, right? They started with a shoe company.
That's right. And they worked side by side. And Mrs. Weaver tells terrific stories about when they were younger and working in her parents' store. And they are people who have truly found their own passion in their work, and then were able to then bless the community. They prioritized blessing the community where they relocated when they came with the Jaguars.
And Suzanne, how does an organization like yours connect with somebody like Dolores Barr Weaver, and make an impression on her? How do you pitch, I guess?
Yeah, as we were growing in our organization, through the Community Foundation, which has been an incredible relationship for us as well, is that we began to work with Mrs. Weaver, and she learned what we were doing. We were fortunate to have a gift back in 2019, which was a fund created by Mrs. Weaver called the Partnership for Mental Health, and we were a recipient of that funding back in 19 that helped us grow our helpline so that we can respond to 988 calls, the new 988 system that's coming in. And as she learns what we're doing, and we continue to show that we are great stewards of that money, and that we're really infusing that into our community and helping individuals. We help individuals, family members who call 988, and they come to NAMI Jacksonville so we can help guide them. And she can see that we're really touching individuals. And so we've now gained that trust, and she's now granted us another 5-year grant to provide a staff member to actually sit and answer those calls for family members.
And for people who may not remember or even know, remind us what the 988 is, what purpose that serves.
It's a new crisis and suicide lifeline that is a 3-digit number that replaces the suicide lifeline number, and it's a 3-digit easy number that was federally mandated, and it was really an opportunity to have a behavioral health response to a behavioral health crisis and remove it from the criminal justice system. And so while those calls come into 988 nationally, the ground level here in our community is building a way to sustain and respond to those calls and provide our assistance after people call and become de-escalated and help them navigate further help.
And so that must be a pretty significant new workload with that 988 number, which I'm sure is a challenge, but also a great thing, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we've had a helpline for 35 years, but to have the opportunity for people to understand they can call 988 and they can actually reach many crisis callers, but also reach other community providers, including NAMI Jacksonville.
Isaiah, other than this donation, is this a catalyst for others? Or this happened last summer, right? So are you seeing any sort of wealth generation donations building on this really large donation?
I believe so. But I also believe this story and the way that she gives is going to be a catalyst for others. Dolores loves this story of the starfish on the beach, where there's a little boy and he's picking them up one by one and tossing them back into the ocean. And while this little boy knows that he can't address all of the problems, he can't fix all of the problems for every starfish, he knows that one by one he's fixing the problem for that one. And that exemplifies her approach to philanthropy. And I think that is going to be the thing that's going to change the way we do philanthropy in this town.
But that takes some wherewithal and some resilience, to pick up those starfish when there's a beach full of them. How does that metaphor work for the work that you do at the Community Foundation? I mean, there's a lot of starfish out there.
There are a lot of starfish, and I'll say that Mrs. Weaver's pretty well known for challenge gifts. And I think that that's something also that goes back to her days. She's told this story to us, and we honor it. She says that there were a lot of times when she and Wayne did not have money to be able to give in such a large way, but that they were never asked. And so Mrs. Weaver offers the challenges to the community because she believes that everybody has some capacity to give, and all people need to do is be asked. And so I think that that's why she structured her work that way. It is really strategic, and I like the way that you said that because it does stimulate other people in our community to think of themselves in the same way that she sees herself as a philanthropist.
Well, thank you, Isaiah Oliver, Amy Crane, and Suzanne Mailloux for being here and telling us about this big donation. Appreciate you being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
And stick